Okay, well, let's go to some calls. I've got a caller on the line. Thanks so much for holding dang near the entire show. You're online. You're on the air.
Oh, no problem. Can you hear me okay? This is Rich.
Oh, hi, Rich. Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Hey, I was at your blog. I just want to bring something to your attention. Then I had a question for you. It says here on your blog, you said it's kind of like trying on a whole slew of straitjackets, but you spelled straight wrong. And then you put, now I feel compelled to do more, and you spell compelled wrong, so I just thought I'd let you know. But I know atheists tend to spell a lot of things wrong. Hey, I had a question for you. Recent studies show atheism is declining as a whole worldwide, like as a whole. And the recent studies show that atheism is declining worldwide, and I think it's because atheism lacks proof and evidence. So let me ask you this question. Without evading, what proof and evidence can you provide me that would prove atheism is accurate and correct?
Well, okay, let's back up here just a second, because we really need to define atheism. A lot of people will define atheism, and I'm not one of them, so I'll have to back that up.
Well, let me just cut to the chase. Would you say it's possible for God to exist or impossible? How would you define it? Say again?
Define God or impossibility?
No, how would you define your opinion? Would you say it's possible for God to exist or impossible? The Christian God, I'll be very specific.
Impossible.
Okay, then give me some proof and evidence. Since you've claimed that it's impossible for the Christian God to exist, what proof and evidence can you provide me that would prove atheism is accurate and correct, since most people leave atheism because of the lack of proof and evidence? So go ahead. Let's hear your proof and evidence.
Well, I really don't need proof and evidence that a
So
God
it's faith-based. So you're involved with faiththeism, not atheism, right?
No.
Okay, well, I'll listen to your... This is the second time I've asked. What proof and evidence do you have?
What proof and evidence would you need to
I'll be willing to listen to anything. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, then try listening to this. What proof and evidence would you need to say
without
that
asking a question with the question, listen, this is the third time I've asked. What proof and evidence can you provide me? I'll listen to anything. What proof and evidence can you provide me that would prove atheism is accurate and correct? Now, the burden of proof is on you because you did claim it's impossible for the Christian God.
You're just actually just talking to me, and now you're on hold because you're not actually listening to me. So let's just take a couple of your ideas here one at a time. First of all, I have no idea what studies you're talking about that say that atheism is declining worldwide. And it really wouldn't matter if atheism were declining worldwide. I have studies that show that atheism is on the rise worldwide, but it doesn't really matter. The point is that it doesn't matter. The point is that unless you need evidence and proof to show that Santa Claus doesn't exist, show that fairies don't exist, show that Bigfoot doesn't exist, if you want to show evidence that these things don't exist, then I'll show you proof that God doesn't exist. As a matter of fact, why don't you prove that Bigfoot doesn't exist? And I'll just use your method to prove that God doesn't exist. Okay? Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, let me ask the question. Without you evading, we're not talking about Bigfoot. You claim that the Christian God, it's impossible for him to exist. Everyone's listening to you fail ethically on the radio. This is the fourth time. You're involved with faiththeism. You don't have any proof and evidence that atheism is accurate and correct. You do have Santa syndrome, though. But what proof and evidence do you have that atheism is accurate and correct? This is like the fourth or fifth time I've asked you. Go ahead. I'll listen.
Are you sure?
I'm listening. Go ahead.
What evidence would it take to convince you that
the
Loch Ness Monster
What do you got? Give me some proof and evidence that atheism...
What evidence would it take to convince you that the Loch Ness Monster is imaginary? You don't understand where the burden of proof lies. You don't understand that it doesn't. I don't need any evidence to show that the Loch Ness Monster is imaginary. I don't need any evidence to show that the Tooth Fairy is imaginary. This isn't faith. This isn't the default position is when someone presents a stupendous claim, a supernatural claim, an extraordinary claim. In order to back that up, you're going to need to have some extraordinary evidence.